I mentioned Wednesday that I thought problem solving was a neat subject that would transcend your use in business as a salesperson, etc. I can give you the commercial that says you never really sold anything unless you solved the problem for a customer, etc. But you know all that. I want to take you right into the subject and have you learn a process. Before I do, I want to take you back to two guys by the name of Drs. Kepner and Dr. Trago. They wrote a book at MIT called Problem Solving and Decision Making. Drs. Kepner and Dr. Trago claim that problem solving as it exists in literature, in other words, written in language, is an American invention. Now, this sounds like the Russians who decided they invented basketball, maybe. But there was this group at MIT that tried to take the problem-solving process, which for many years has been intuitive, the Leonardo da Vinci's and stuff, who just said, let's try it this way, or this is what's wrong with it. They tried to make it an analytical process so us mere mortals could do a better job of it. This will test some of you with some gray hair. Do you remember the Whiz Kids? Yep. Robert McNamara? Yep. Okay. Robert McNamara, of course, was with Ford at the time, and he really created a think tank and used the MIT material, that's Massachusetts Institute of Technology, as a format for his group. When he went to the government, worked for Kennedy. I remember one of his examples of problem solving was the F-111. You remember that? I don't think it ever flew, but he was a pretty bright guy, and then went on to be the president of the World Bank, etc. Well, he made Kepner and Trago's problem solving process famous because that was a high visibility group, and he brought that whole process to the Kennedy administration and whatever. Well, in a classroom situation that I was in with him at MIT, one of those 16-week deals, I was learning problem solving from him. And we don't have one in this class, but do you know what a heckler is? Okay. Well, every once in a while I've been in a class on your side, or I've been up here and I have a heckler. We happen to have a heckler in this class. First morning of class, Dr. Trago stands up and said, maybe Kepler, I don't remember. He said, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The guy sitting where Mark's sitting raised his hand. And you know, since I run seminars, I kind of thought to myself, it's early for a question. You know, what can you debate about good morning? So Kepler said, yes. And the guy said, I want to ask the most important question of the week. What time are we getting out of here on Friday? Well, Kepler was kind of cool. He said, well, 3 o'clock. So the guy said, I'm going to write that down and hold you to it. Well, he didn't stop. I mean, that was just first salvo, okay? And for a few of those are cute. You can all smile. Then pretty soon you realize this guy's wasting our time, and it kind of gets to be boring. We're there 16 weeks. At the end of the 4th week, we had a break where we were supposed to go home to our jobs and apply problem solving to a problem in our business, and then bring it back as a write-up case history and say, this is our conclusion. So it's this guy's in a loud voice, you know, stage whisper. I can't hardly wait to get back and solve all the problems that our company's had for the last 59 years. Well, Kepner had been, I think, pretty cool up to then. You know, he's a nice old man, smart and famous. What does he need this shit for, right? he just, time out, bro. And he used a flip chart, but I'm going to use my, and he did an analogy. And forgetting what it did to the heckler, it made so much sense to me about every process I've ever learned, including the negotiation process, including phase 1, basic, analytical, intuitive, anything you've ever learned. He said that anyone in the room know how a flashlight bulb looks when it's lit without the benefit of a reflector or lens? Well, I happen to know that because one of my kids was a Cub Scout, and we made a Morse code thing with a flashlight bulb and a battery and a piece of wire and a block of 2x for you. Okay. He said, so I want to draw you a battery. Now, I am a lousy artist, but just assume that's a D battery. And in front of it, there's another one. And in front of that, there's another one. And of course, in front of that is the bulb. Now, pretend the circuitry's there. He said, in order for that bulb to light, you have to have 3 live batteries. He said, and I just want to give those batteries some names. He said, the first one, he says, I want to give you is intelligence. He said, the second one I want to give you is experience. Either good experience or appropriate experience. And the third one I want to give you is data or information. He says, if any of those batteries are dead, the bulb's not going to light. So that's all that's to it. He said, so what you must bring to the problem-solving process is a reasonable amount of intelligence, appropriate or enough experience, and information. He said, but now we have another thing in this drawing. There's a thing here called a reflector and a lens. And it is only when the reflector and lens are in place that this light goes out to a spot called focus. Because if any of you have ever seen a flashlight bulb lit without the benefit of the reflector and lens, it's just a little yellow glob. It wouldn't rival a firefly, you know. So it isn't until you get this highly polished and this lens to take you out to focus so you can look under the hood or into a key latch or whatever. Now, he then said, you must bring the intelligence, experience, and the data to this problem-solving process. What the process is the reflector and the lens. He said, so I can take your intelligence, experience, and data and focus it so that it's more usable. But he said, if in fact someone in this room doesn't bring enough intelligence to the process, like that asshole, and when he finished, he said, and please do not come back next week. So he threw him out of the class, but which is an aside. But the analogy is brilliant. Think about it. What he's really saying is, you're necessary to the process. All the process does is like give you a handle, a lever. It's like a short wrench handle versus a long wrench handle. You can get more nuts open with the long wrench. So what I want you to see and believe before we get started is there's no magic in this thing. Even though I guess I really don't believe it. I think there is some kind of neat magic that goes on. But that bulb has to light and that lens and reflector have to be in place. That's the process. This is what's required. Okay? So on the front end, position it properly. Secondly, the Air Force, U.S. Air Force, picked up problem solving as from MIT and said, the way you guys do it is complicated, it takes too long and all that kind of stuff. We need to have people be able to do problem solving in the front seat of a jet fighter while it's going down. So, you know, we have to give them some good rules, and they can't necessarily take 2 hours. Sometimes you don't have that kind of time. So they did some very, very interesting stuff with the problem-solving process in terms of compressing it. Now, it doesn't work as well when you have to do it in 15 seconds going down in a jet fighter, but some of the rules for the problem-solving process are there. So sometimes when I'm driving along to the office, I can do it in my head. But if it's a $300,000 problem, I like to do it with a flip chart and 3 or 4 other people in the room. So it's kind of like small hammers for small tacks, big hammers for big spikes. It is expandable. Don't walk out here and say, hey, man, he showed us this process. It's a career. I'm going to show it all to you because it's all there. But there's parts of it that are usable, it's compressible, it's very, very flexible, and I want you to see that on the front end. It might feel like an 18-inch pizza in your mouth all at once by the time we get done.